A lot of times we're in a town with a lot of antique places and we can't get to them all, and we say, well, gee, we'll have to come back. This time we really did. We are in Gape Girardeau, Missouri, and the last time we were here, these people were just getting stuff moved in and hadn't opened yet. This is Main Street Antiques, and they're definitely open now. Look at this cool Chambers automatic gas range from the 1920s. This was the beginning of modern stoves, where you didn't have to use wood. Here's a John Deere riding tractor with the little pull cart behind it. And that piece is the part that you never see with these. They are open and we're gonna see what they've got. Well, they have been open for just a little over a year. That's the last time we were here. And wow, they have some nice stuff. Look at this very handsome cabinet from about 1900 with the paw feet and the carving on the columns. They have 1,500 on that. Some nice pieces of depression glass in it. I like this screen that has been lined with golf fabric and a pretty stained glass fire screen. So they've got some nice decorative items here. Very spangly vintage fashion here. We're definitely seeing a lot of interest in these kinds of vintage clothes. And there is a college here. I know one of the other stores had a lot of vintage fashion as well. A fur from a furrier in St. Louis. And the hat to match. Here is a very nice 1930s quilt. Great color. Nice patterning. A lot of people do hang quilts as backgrounds as opposed to using them on a bed. Over here, a little bit of mid-century modern. This glass set here and the classic Conwa for $25. That's a pretty decent price on that. Toothpicks are a nice thing to collect in glass because you can get some really nice old pattern glass, like this Shoshone piece in front, the gold with the hexagonal base. The one next to it also pattern glass from the 1890s. This is the Texas pattern by US Glass. Prices on these are only in the $10 range, and that's part of what makes it a fun thing to collect. You can get some really pretty pieces of glass that are over 100 years old for not a lot of money. The green one is Colorado patterned with those feet. Similar to the lacy medallion, which is the clear one here. And then you have some with the ruby flash. The square one with the ruby top is ribbon bead by the McKee Glass Company. National Glass became McKee. There's one behind with the gold in the round thumbprints that actually is the original Manhattan pattern before the 1930s deco pattern that most people associate with that name. L.E. Smith Ewer is $60. That's about a right price on that. I like the shaving stand because it actually has the brush and the original milk glass to use for rinsing your brush. $80 on that piece. This is an early Fenton Persian medallion bowl with the 3 feet. And grape and cable on the outside, priced at $195. And this is also grape and cable at $165. These are 1910s era carnival glass pieces. The purple beverage set is Croesus, another pattern glass pattern from about 1890. Came in green as well as the purple. I've always liked that pattern. It's very distinctive. Also from the pattern glass era is the Roosevelt plate, a square deal. And they show the bears around the edge because Teddy Roosevelt is for whom the teddy bear was named. There's a story about he shot a bear on a hunting expedition, and it turned out that there was a cub that was orphaned, and he managed to save it somehow. Older Vaseline glass candlesticks, $55 for the pair, is a good price on those. And this is Cambridge Nautilus pattern. George Sakier is the designer on this. But this one is pink with the edge as opposed to the black that was really more his trademark in the Art Deco period. And then below here, the Wabash Cannonball from Lionel. This is when they started to go to the plastic cars around 1970. Ford Bronco is back. This is the original 70s emblem for $25. $20 on the 1970 vintage Coke truck with the slanted cab by Buddy L in the original box. That's actually a pretty decent price on that. Cute set of children's dishes. I especially like the percolator here with Cinderella on it with the redwood handles. $18. That's from about 1940. $75 each on these carriage lanterns seems like a good price. A lot of people wire these and use them as outdoor lighting now. We have some Fire King blue swirl. Same era as the jadeite swirl. Not nearly as expensive, $9 each on the cereal bowls. I think it's a great color. And then a brighter blue in these Fenton pieces. There is a 1960s era Persian medallion bowl. And they have some water lily and the roses. Prices on these seem to be in the $25 to $30 range primarily. And they are actually having a sale. So the blue candle holders with 20% off would be about $18, which is a pretty good deal. Adams Transferware doesn't get quite as much acclaim as Spode and some of the other English companies, but it's really nicely done. I like the contrasting colors there. The acorn finial is a classic nod to Victorian china from England, and it even has design inside the bowl. And a nice foot here. This is the English Scene series. This is a 20th century version based absolutely on 19th century transferware. And that is $36 with the discount. Some very sweet women for the wall. I like this one that is the print over the mirror under the bow knot, 1920s. That's $36. $60 on this one with the wood frame and the woman with her dog. And then this is framed in a manner that has two Gibson era girl prints. And they do have the Gibson signatures. This is $52 with the discount. This one's called the Wallflower because she's demurely sitting by herself facing away. This is Cambridge Rose Point. They also have Candlelight, which is very similar. But Rose Point, as you see in the center of that center cartouche, let's get it against a dark surface, you can see roses. Candlelight would have a candle in it. A lot of the companies that did elegant glass did etched patterns in the 1920s and 30s. By the 1940s, it became too expensive. At one time, this stuff was very collectible. Now it's actually pretty reasonable. You see the 10-ounce Rose Point goblet here, only $12 with the discount. Another nice beverage set here. Carnival glass and the marigold with the birds. And then a bunch of Waterford. This is the Alana pattern here. And these are priced in the range of about $16 now. This pattern is Glendale, where you have the laurel wreath above the diamond point. This is a very handsome Victorian set of furniture with the two-toning and the burl. We have the bed frame here, short on the end and then tall on the headboard because people sat up when they slept back in the mid-1800s. Nice little washstand commode here. And then the dresser. It has all the original hardware. It's in wonderful condition, and they're asking $650 for the 3 pieces, which, compared that to new furniture, that's a pretty good deal. I like this pitcher on the right, this large tankard. They just say Victorian pitcher. It is colorful transfer with exotic birds. I would say this is probably an American piece, looking at the way it's made. Some English chintz here. Royal Winton. Summertime is a very popular pattern of theirs with this white background. The 3-piece set is $40. You see the cream and sugar here. There's your mark on the bottom. It's also summertime chintz. Chintz is any all-over floral pattern. So the black is chintz. And this is interesting because it has the Staffordshire mark as well, which is something from around the 1930s. And then here we have ruby lace. Now this is a Royal Albert pattern, but that is also chintz. Again, any all-over floral pattern. Cootie was a very popular game after World War II, where you put together this little bug made in Minneapolis. This one has a postal code, which means it's before 1963, because at the end of 63, we got zip codes. If you're a Corel fan, well, you might have given your children the Corel children's dishes back in the day. This is $12 for this set. And they have quite a bit of acro agate and other children's dishes from the 1930s and 40s. Only $16 for the set of shell pink tumblers. Prices as low as $2 each on these. We know pixies and elves are very popular, have been since the 40s when Drew's Pixie Potters started making them in Los Angeles. This little band is Japanese, and they are priced at $60 for the set of 4. And then we have some of the Homeco as well. Well, I'm sure having fun exploring this new place. If you're having fun with me, well, please do click thumbs up to let YouTube know. And do subscribe if you haven't already, because then you can click the bell to be notified of future videos, and we will go back to other places we've been before and find out what's new and what's changed in the antique and vintage world. This is a great Blanco piece here. 1960s, great proportions. That one is priced at about $150 with the discount. They also have this nice little crackle picture. I like square. You don't see a lot of square shapes, and when we do, they're generally by Pilgrim glass. This one has their second era of finishing on the bottom. And this one with the discount is $14. This bride basket is very pretty. It's Victorian with the enameling. It's a lovely deep red. Deep red was very expensive to do back then. This is almost what they would call a pigeon blood red with the enameling. It fits perfectly in the bale. In fact, in this case, it looks like it's actually been stuck into the bale in a way where it won't come out. But it would if you worked it a little bit. It's very tight, which is what you want. That tells you it's original. It's only $60. Bride's baskets do not sell for what they used to. And it's because most of them are mismatches now. That seems like a wonderful piece for the price. Love this head base. She is Shawnee. A piece that was very cute, but less about being whimsy and anthropomorphic animals, and more about being stylish. From the 1950s, she's $36 with the discount, which for this vase is a pretty good price. This is an interesting piece. New Art and Frank Art are well-known New York companies that made metalware in figures. But this is Davart, the concertina player. There's the mark on the bottom, Davart, New York. This should date to the 1930s, and with the discount, it's about $40. And that might be buyable at that price. Below it, we have a Dryden pottery fish. I was just in Arkansas, didn't see any Dryden pottery. It was made in Kansas, and then when the freeway bypassed the town, they moved to Hot Springs, Arkansas, which is why this says Ozark Frontier, because that's where these pieces with the drip plays were made. This one is $28 with the discount. We have a half-off booth here, so we'll spend a moment and see if there's any deals for us. This is Kentucky Derby. Now, in 1974, they had an error. They put the wrong name of the horse that had won the year or two before in 71. It was Canonero 2, so this one is the correct one. If it says something else, then it's wrong. And the ones that are wrong sell for about twice the price of the ones that were correct. But it looks like all three of these were done correctly. Well, this little flower power pin from about 1970 is very cute, and at half price, it's only $4.50, so I'm going to put that up at the counter. Lock and key for $10 is not a bad deal either. Down on the bottom is one of these Ingrid picnic balls. They look like Swedish modernism. They were made in Chicago in the 70s. And when you open it up, it has all the cups and plates and everything you need for your picnic. These outer pieces turn into big serving bowls. It's a great space saver. With the discount, not a bad price either. $14.50. It's a little scratched, or else I would pick it up for sure. A bunch of Lennox with the gold rim, and I realize gold rim is harder to sell now. This is the old Lennox Belique mark. They were instructed not to use that mark by Belique in Ireland. They were sued over that. So this is an old piece, maybe 1920-ish. The blue marks were used until 1953 and then replaced with gold. The salt dips may be the thing to buy because I have a lot of collectors for salt dips, and they are older ones. $7.50 for the set of 4, $10 for the set of 6. They also have this interesting plate, which is from the Detroit Yacht Club with the old Lenox Belief mark. And at only $10, the Yacht Club, because it has collector interest for more than one reason, that's going to be the piece to get. These are marked down to $24.50. They are advertising having to do with the pharmacy industry. I'm not sure which drug company gave these out back in the 60s or 70s, back when they were allowed to give swag. $24.50 for the set is a good deal. Francoma's Uncle Sam mug made for the bicentennial. $5 on that. 1976. There you go. Pretty good at that price. Spuds McKenzie glasses from the 80s at $3 each. Those probably have some room in them. I like the bookends here. These are for Hartford Fire Insurance. They did a lot of various things that were promotional or given to their customers. $14.50 seems like a good deal. These look like they're from the 50s. They're a little on the light side. A woman named Laura Garden Fraser was the one who did this design, and she did it for the Bastian brothers in Rochester, who made these for Hartford. If I thought for sure that I could get the corrosion off, I would buy these because they sell for $50, but they need to be perfect. Now we see lots of precious moments that don't sell in the little figures, but some of these complicated pieces do. This is the Noah's Ark, and it's $47.50 with the discount. It seems to me that almost anything Noah's Ark is collectible. $37.50 with the case is a heck of a deal on any telescope. It has a nice oak transit to sit on. This is a Japanese one. Tasco made for Barlow, and this would have been made sometime in the 1970s. This bar mirror is in Spanish, probably for the Mexican market from about 1980, promoting Chivas Regal. Aged for 12 years, and it is priced at $36. Well, this is a fun instrument. This is a Ukelin. They were very popular in the 1920s, and a little bit complicated because you had bowed strings and plucking strings, so it could be played in different ways. This one's $36. It needs a few of the strings redone, but actually that's a pretty good price for that piece. I'm a big fan of stick and ball furniture, and this is an interesting piece. This shelf unit, they're not exactly ball turns up here, but when you get down here you see them. This should date to about 1890. They have it priced at $79. I see one or two broken spindles, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd be tempted to get that. It'd be great on top of a table to use for display at a show. Old pottery from Huntingburg, Indiana. Sells very well in Indiana and pretty well everywhere else, too. There are collectors all over the country. This number 5 rock jug is $150. It says contents unknown. I don't think I want to find out. Nice to see some rustic and primitive things in a store. We're in the right part of the country to see more of this sort of thing. We have the folding goose decoys in the original packages here. They are asking $95. That's the stand. This is a neat little chair made for a child. Country furniture. Somebody just put this together around 1900. Priced at $75. These are some neat big compotes. Pressed glass. Ashman is the pattern from about 1870. They also have some neat blue and white spatterware here. The teal color is something a little more interesting. Nice slipware on this crock, a number 4. And you see it's from J. Fisher of Lyons, New York. They're asking $5.50 for that. The slipper ones really do go for more money. A nice machinist chest that somebody made around 1900 as well. This looks like it was a working ship's wheel as opposed to the decorative ones we see from the 60s and 70s. You can tell this one actually got use. We are here on the Missouri River, on the Mississippi River. This is priced at $8.50. I have learned to look at these old kettles with the embossing. This one's priced at $65. Sometimes these sell for well over $100 depending on who made them. This has a nice Louisville, Kentucky patent. Louisville was a big iron foundry town in its early days. This has an 1863 date on it. Number 6 for 6 cup. Only $65. And then below that we have the coffee caddy, a very famous 1950s piece by Colombian enamelware of Terre Haute, Indiana. I have a friend who's a dealer who's up in Terre Haute. Nice porcelain enamel, great graphic. He's barbecuing and she's drinking coffee. $60 on that. That's a fairly typical price for these. Malted milk containers are definitely collectible. This is 1920s or 30s. $85 is about the right price for that in that condition. And more crocks, Worcester, Massachusetts. Love the flower. All of these slipware designs are popular. There's another Lions and another cradled coffee mill from a general store. General store collectibles are definitely fun things to have in houses now because they're big and showy. This one is priced at $6.50. This leather sheath is just interesting looking. I believe this carved piece is an actual horn. I guess this was just something for somebody to carry with them. A lot of fringe. It's got some real design. I would say these look like they were manufactured, so I'm thinking early 1900s. And that is priced at $22.50. I like things like that because they're unique. You'll never see that exact piece again. Ooh, iron shackles with the key. That's actually an important thing to have. These are 20th century. These are not slave era, but they are hand forged, and they were probably for some police station to use back around 1910 or 20. Tea leaf ironstone from England was a huge success in the Midwestern United States because it could be sent right up the Mississippi River, and it came out in the 1840s and 50s. It's the beginning of copper luster, so you see that lustrous shine to it. This is a nice ironstone piece with the tea leaf. $75 is a good price. This used to be much more expensive. This one is an early 20th century piece from England. It was made for about 70 years. Now that people are getting into ironstone again, I suspect the prices will go up on these. I almost overlooked this really nice block quilt from about 1940. Great rich colors. And speaking of rich colors, there's a bunch of flow blue in here. Transferware is made by putting a clear glaze over a decal. And before they perfected it, sometimes the heat of the glaze would make the decal run. The English considered those factory seconds, did not want them, put all of them on boats and sold them here in the United States. And people here love it and collect it, and people in England do not understand why. But I do, because the colors are very pretty, and the running blue just makes them a little more ethereal. New style cylinder churn, and this one's made of white cedar, which was nice. A little better quality wood than some were made of. This one's priced at $2.25. Every American home, on the farm at least, had one of these until probably the 1920s when you start seeing electric ones. Nice selection of 1920s cast iron vehicles, cars and tractors, Hubley and Arcade and other companies. I always like the Mac Bulldog here with the snub nose. That's from about 1920. They even have a little house jack in cast iron. Prices start at about $35 and go up into the 50s and 70s and more for the big fire engine in the middle. Speaking of general store, this is a great old tea tin. It has a lot of surface wear. This came out of St. Louis and would have been made about 1900, back when you just walked up and took a scoop and got as much tea as you wanted for yourself. This is a price of $2.95 now. See a lot of this pink Hazel Atlas crinoline in this area. It must have been distributed at some stores here because every time I come to Gape Girardeau, I see pieces of it. It also came in a turquoise blue color, late 40s. $45 they're asking for the 17-piece set. Maids of all nations, dolls of the world, very similar, from about 1960. Plastic bodies, but some really wonderful outfits. These are nice because they have the original boxes. They've never been terribly expensive in the doll world. They're only asking $8 for this one, but it's something a lot of women today remember from their childhood. Speaking of things from your childhood, here is a great child-size roll-top desk for $200. And yes, it does have the timbre piece that rolls down. Timbre is where you have all these slats that move together in unison. Well, there's more upstairs, so let's take a look. This place is bigger than I thought. Some 70s era lamps with the very tall proportioned shades. They have these priced at $35 each. These 70s era bar lamps have gone way up in value. I just got two myself, and wow, they're selling for $50 now. This is a neat thing I see in this part of the country. It is a tobacco stand, a smoking stand, made of walnut with the turnings from about 1900. And what's interesting about it is the horseshoe shape. This is priced at $100. Barware here. Only $15.99 on the Michelob Bank from the 70s, but it's losing a little bit of its label. The little miniature beer bottles here, $9. And then, wow, only $12 on the drink mixer, but that is not the right lid, unfortunately, and it doesn't make a good seal. Fun group of vintage salt and peppers here, a lot of them as low as $5 and $6, and these are out of the 50s and 60s with the cork stoppers. If I didn't have a huge collection I'm trying to sell, I'd definitely be interested. But there's one set down here that is so inexpensive for having the bale. If this is in good condition, I think I have to take that for $4 because the ones that fit in their little holder sell for a little bit more. And this is going to be 1930s from Japan, I believe. Let's see if we can tell. No mark on the bottom, but yes, I'll take that one. Another bride's basket, but this one at $70 is not the original because this moves around, and that's what we usually see. Now, there's a bunch of jewelry in here. I don't see anything amazing, but I see some fun things that look like they're 1960s era. Orange plastic and wood. Sort of cheap material, but I like the look for $5. And we have a bunch of these flower power out of the 60s and 70s. This one is some strange paper mache type of material for $12. Little orange one is cute. That's only $6. I think we'll put that up too. These pieces that look like army medals were inspired by the use after World War II by the French of old military medals as jewelry. This one is by Weiss. $19.99 is not a bad price for a signed piece. This is an 80s flower power pin, $6 on that. Let's see what else we have here. This one's missing a stone. I like this advertising crock for $100. Western Dairy, Haymarket 0241. So that was a big city because it had a 6-digit phone number. And they've churned their butter fresh daily. That should be from the general store from about 1920. Those star tags are half off in this place. I see a gooseneck lamp, but they also have a lot of interesting little things. And I'm going to take a moment and look through these. All these little things that keep people occupied at shows are good sellers for me. They might not be a lot of money, but they add up. And when there's a couple shopping in a booth, it's nice to have things to distract both of them. Blackamoor brooch is $10. That's nice, out of the 60s. This is fairly contemporary, but I like showing the crystalline glaze because crystalline glaze has been around for a century or more. This is by Bill Campbell, and this has got the Bill Campbell mark in 2017 on it. So it's a studio piece. Treasure Craft Hawaiian pineapple salt and peppers. $5 for the set. I think I have to get those. The popular one at the factory tour in Hawaii was the palm tree with the two hanging coconuts, because the Japanese tour companies would come in and that's what the person who gave the tour liked, and all of the other people would buy what they saw the tour leader buy. So that was their leading seller, but this one's a good one too. $15 each is a pretty good price on the Royal Worcester Evesham. Those were part of a large dinnerware and cooking set made in the 70s, 80s, and 90s at that old English factory that is no longer. And there's one more room in the upstairs here. Pole lamp always is something that I look for. We're definitely utilizing all the space. Only $15 for the Ross radio. Needs a little bit of refinishing out of the 1970s, but it's got AM and FM, which is a selling point now. Over the years, many tile companies and pottery companies have made advertising ashtrays as promotions. This one is advertising the 20th anniversary of Sacagawea, which I suspect they're talking about a campground or something, but it is from American Olean Tile. There are definitely collectors for this subcategory. It's priced at $24. Stamping and embossing wood was something that a lot of home woodworkers did, and this is a whole kit from the 1920s that will allow you to do that. Here's all the little letters, and then you've got your hammer. Apparently Terry owns this one. It looks pretty complete for $125. We have a view of my new old van in front of these wonderful uranium glass pieces. You don't see the 1970s Mountain Dew clocks as much as Pepsi and Coke. This one is priced at $80. Cute whole corky pig bank, but the original corks had a metal hoop that you used to pull them out. So if they don't have that, it's not the original. True temp thermometers were very popular in the 60s, 70s, and 80s as advertising pieces, but I've never seen the one with the two hogs. Isn't that cute? $30. Various rock memorabilia. Kiss the best of the solos. And Courtney loved the real story. Well, hey everybody. Look at this cool office door with the mirror in it from the 1940s. I especially like the copper knob, and it's priced at $120. This company, a drug company in Keokuk, Iowa, had a very unfortunate name of KKK. When they named the company, of course, it didn't have the implication it did later. $20 for that oil bottle from about 1920. This is a cute little piece, My Pet Milk. Little hard to see because you can see through the graphics, but this was for irradiated pet milk, $4. Under the yoga mat is an unusual Edward Woodard chaise lounge. It doesn't have the pad, but it looks like it's in good shape otherwise. $75 for the double tree yoke is a good price. A lot of people are rigging those up with hanging lights in restaurants or in a farmhouse kitchen. 75% off, booth 33X. I don't see much left that's old though. $60 on this very cute painted enamel teapot here from about 1890. I've always liked this style. I just think it has a neat look to it. A very cute cattail pattern. Enameled inside as well. Wow, and even the upstairs has an upstairs. 70 swag lamps, $99 each. All right, we are at the back of the downstairs. There's sure a lot more in here than I expected, which is fun. Looks like a Marcia of California Lazy Susan set. Only $20 with the discount. Well, this chair was brought over from Asia, and what an interesting inlay it has. This looks like something from the 1950s or 60s, but the inlay is a wonderful pastoral scene with an antelope. This is cute. Little treasure chest. They've left some little glass marbles in there. But this has a definite Egyptological design. It's called Mazdaware. A different shape of jewelry casket. This should date to the 1920s, and it's $30. These have the style of Lindy ball quilt from the 1980s and are priced at $120 and $150. Pretty little celluloid dresser box here for $45. Should date to about 1900. Of all the pieces on the table, the one my eye goes to is actually this interesting lucite or acrylic 1940s towel bar for $25. What a great color. If you were restoring a bathroom or you had a kitchen that had red and blue, that could be really useful. Seagull is the most popular Bing & Grondel pattern in Denmark, where it was made. 10% of homes have this as their dinnerware pattern. It's nice with the dolphin feet and only $24. I've sold a lot of this in my time. That might be worth buying. One of the Torquay potteries in England made this little good night chamber stick with the boats. Not sure which company made that, but that's very cute for $35. And here are a bunch of Corday figures. Corday porcelain was made in New Jersey. It's very pretty. It's very pastel. It used to sell for big money. I think as pastels are coming back into style, it may start doing so again. The elaborate figure with the bow knot is $45. These were done in the 1940s primarily. And here is another stick and ball piece. You see the little balls in it and all the sticks for spindles. This is a nice hanging cabinet priced at $350 from about 1890. Fun little things in this case, and it looks like it's okay to open because it doesn't have a lock. I really like the Sally Ann sweeper cast iron for $12. This cookie jar is Treasure Craft's Victorian house when they switched to the glossy glazes in the late 70s, and this one's only priced at $25. They typically sell for $40 to $45, so that's a good deal. That's just a fun mirror, the Owl in the Forest from the 70s, $45. And they've got a rack of comics over here. Shazam. I always liked that graphic on his chest. Sergio Aragonés was one of my favorite writers and illustrators for Mad Magazine, and he did the Gru series. They're priced about $6 each. Looks like they have most of them. Underdog was one of my favorite cartoons when I was very, very little. Robot Fighter, they were on the early robot craze back in the 60s. $20 for that one. I really like the Italian lamp here, priced at $50 from the 1970s. If it was one that didn't have to be hardwired, I would buy it at that price and sell it in Florida. If you had the right 1940s or 50s lamp, especially one of the coral painted dancers, that would be the shade for you. And these are good sellers as well with the fiberglass. Let's see what the price on this is. $125. And look at this fun space here. You've got the Rambler Police Department 1960s pedal car. That's supposed to be a late 50s Ford, the fire chief. And then move up here and there are all sorts of fun wheeled toys. 1940s through 1970s. I really like the Buddy L with the extension ladder. There's a Chevron Premium. The Wrecker by Tonka. This is really cool. This is a Keystone. This is another one that you sat on and rolled around. The little steamroller. Nylint made a bunch of these under the Adams name, the travel loaders. That was priced at $215. Tonka Mobile Clam. It's hard to find these ones that had all these accessories, not missing pieces. And condition matters. That's why they have these in the cases. The Buddy L is almost mint. The cement mixer at $155. And the Nylint dump truck is at $235. Main Street Antiques and Collectibles has turned out really well. I'm so happy that I came back. I found some fun things to buy. And I will definitely check this place out the next time I'm in Gape Girardeau. And you keep following me, we'll keep going back and finding all the places that have opened since we were in places originally.
If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help. And we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.